Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. Yesterday, we were discussing about the nature of Congress dominance, and in this regard, we have seen that many countries adopted the democratic government in its constitution, but in actual practice, many of the countries like China, Cuba, Syria, they were not able to start the democratic government in a real manner. And these countries, like China, Cuba, and Syria, in these countries, there was only one party was allowed. So uh, there cannot be a democracy. But we find that there were many countries like Myanmar, Belarus, Egypt, Eritrea, which uh, which are not one party system. There is provision for multi-party system in the constitution. Still, um, in in effect, these countries are one-party countries because of some legal measures were adopted by the countries by the government. Some military measures were adopted by the government, and because of that, in spite of being a multi-party system, the country was effectively one-party country. So now we see that in our country also there was dominance of Congress, but this dominance of Congress was completely democratic. It's not that our constitution does not allow more than one party. There is a complete freedom. Uh, uh, Anyone can form a political party, and there is no restriction on the numbers of the political party by our constitution. And the government has also not adopted any kind of legal or military measures uh, so that the other parties cannot flourish, and there will be only single party can flourish. So this is not the condition in India. In our country, everything is going on in a democratic manner. Not only we have a multi-party system, but we have completely free and fair elections also. In spite of all these things, we saw that in the first three general elections, Congress Party became Congress Party won three-fourths of the seats in the Lok Sabha. So this was a major victory, and this victory was achieved not by any kind of manipulation or not by using any kind of undemocratic practices, but uh, through democratic practices, this dominance was established. And the same case was with South Africa also. In South Africa, there was people also struggle for freedom. There also people struggle for democracy. And lastly, when in 1994 it became independent under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, and the party of Nelson Mandela was African National Congress. And after getting independence, there also we find that this African National Congress emerged as the dominant party. But there also this dominance of African National Congress was achieved only through democratic method. So now we will see the example of Mexico, which is a country in South America, and which was under the colonial rule of Spain. Okay, so we will see the situation in Mexico, how Mexico was turned into a uh, dictatorship. Okay, in Mexico, there was a very most important political party was this National Revolutionary Party, which was founded in 1929, National Revolutionary Party. Okay, and later it was renamed as Institutional Revolutionary Party. Institutional Revolutionary Party. This is called PRI in Spanish. This party used the power of the government for almost 6 decades. For 60 years, this party was in power. And originally, PRI was a mixture of various interests because this institutional revolutionary party was representing various sections of the society. It was not limited to any particular section or any particular. It was not there to protect the interest of any particular section of the society, but it was a mixture of various interests like political and military leaders, labor and peasants organizations, then numerous political parties. All were there. All were represented in the Institutional Revolutionary Party. But over a period of time, what happened that the founder of PRI, whose name was Plutarco Elias Calles, this Calles, what he did, he captured the organization, he captured the party. Okay, first of all, what is the need? If anyone wants to excessive use its power, then the first control will be done over the party. So first of all, Callis captured the organization, Institutional Revolutionary Party, and then it captured the government also because the government was formed by this PRI. So in Mexico, what happened that everything was democratic. Democratic practices, democratic institutions were there. Then elections were held regularly. Okay, there was no such thing that elections are not happening and only one ruler is ruling there for a long time without an election. No, elections were held at regular intervals, and the country was uh, multi-party system. In country there was a multi-party system. It's not that there was could be only one party and that is Institutional Revolutionary Party. No, this was not the case. Elections were held at regular interval. Many parties, multi-party system was existing in the country. Okay, still we find there was dictatorship. How this dictatorship came? This dictatorship came because the whatever laws related to elections were operated in such a manner that it should ensure the winning of the PRI. It means that the government machinery was misused by the government for the purpose of election. There was all the rules regarding elections, all the laws regarding elections were operated in such a way that it could facilitate the winning of the PRI. Elections were held at regular interval, but they were rigged. Rigging was done, manipulation was done by the ruling party, booth capturing, then dishonesty in counting of the votes. Okay, so all these practices were adopted by the ruling party, by the PRI, and The dictatorship which was prevailing in Mexico, it was called the perfect dictatorship. Why it was the perfect dictatorship? It was perfect because from uh, outside, anyone can see all the features of democracy is existing in the country. Multi-party system is there. Elections are held at regular intervals. So everything is democratic in the country. Still, uh, the leader, the callous, Plutarco Elias Calles was able to rule the country for 60 years. So um, mm, it's not because of any unfair practice. It was shown to the world that if the Callis was the ruler for the 60 years, it was not because of any unfair practice was adopted by the government, but it was because of his winning in the election. He is winning the election and he is holding the power. So nothing is unfair. It was shown to the world. It was uh, presented in this way to the world. That is why it was called perfect dictatorship. It was a dictatorship, but in the guise of democracy. Okay, so this is the reason it was called perfect uh, dictatorship. But in the year 2000, the party lost the election. It was not able to win the election, and now Mexico is no longer a one party dominated country. Now the political scenario has been changed. Okay, and at present it is not a single party dominated country, but multi party system is existing there, and elections are also held at regular intervals, and it is done on a very large scale that the elections should be free and fair. But the 60 years of dictatorship which people experienced in Mexico is very unhealthy for democracy, because now people uh, are not able to have confidence in the free and fair nature of election. Though everything is going in a right direction in Mexico, still people are not believing in the freedom of election, in the fairness of election. So, because of that, 60 years of dictatorship. So, this kind of things is very, very harmful for the health of democracy. Okay, now there is some important information is given in the box. It's about Baba Sahab Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. He was the leader of the anti-caste movement and the struggle for justice to the Dalits. Uh, Ambedkar was mm, is the most popular leader of Dalits, and he started many movements for Dalits. Temple movement was very important in this regard, and he was a champion of uh, mm, uh, the equal treatment. He always supported that there must be equality in the society. Dalits must be equally treated in the country, and moreover, he was a real scholar and an intellectual person. Um, at that time, in spite of belonging to the community which was considered untouchable at that time, he managed to avail the scholarships, and he went abroad for higher studies. So he was a great intellectual person, and he also founded an a political party that was Independent Labour Party, and after that he founded Scheduled Caste Federation. So these are the parties which were formed by him. Earlier it was Independent Labour Party. And he has also planned the formation of Republican Party of India. He was member of Viceroy Executive Council during the Second World War. So this honor was given to him by the British Parliament, that he became the Viceroy's Executive Council during the Second World War. He was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, and he is considered as the father of the Indian Constitution. He was minister in Nehru's first cabinet after independence. Then he was law minister in Nehru's first cabinet, and he resigned in 1951 because there was some conflict over the Hindu Code Bill, and this conflict was with Nehru, because of which he resigned in 1951, and he adopted 19 Buddhism in 1956. So these are the important facts about Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. Now we will again come back to our own country, and we will discuss the nature of dominance of Congress in India. The roots of this extraordinary success of the Congress party go back to the legacy of the freedom struggle. Why Congress was able, only Congress was able to win the three-fourth seats in the first three Lok Sabha elections. The reason is are many, but the most important reason is that Congress party has the legacy of the freedom struggle. India was under the British rule for almost 200 years, and India people started their struggle for freedom under the leadership of the Congress party. It was Congress who gave direction to the movement of the people, and under the leadership of the Congress, many movements were started, and they successfully accomplished also. um, we can take the name of non-cooperation movement, then civil disobedience movement, then quit India movement. These are the three important movement um, which were held in India uh, under the leadership of the Congress. So, Congress was mm, mm, Congress did not need any kind of recognition. It has proved itself by leading the country in the freedom struggle. Now it was not needed. Uh, it was not required that the Congress has to uh, make people लोगों को ये विश्वास दिलाना कि हम आपके लिए कुछ करेंगे, because people are confident, people are knowing that it is only Congress party which can do anything substantial for them, which can do anything really meaningful for them. तो लोगों के बीच जो ये विश्वास था वो क्यों था? बिकॉज कांग्रेस वॉज द होल फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल of India was done in the leadership of the Congress. And we find that many leaders who were in the forefront of that struggle were now contesting election as Congress candidates. So people have बहुत ज़्यादा high respect. People were having high respect for the Congress leaders, and those leaders who were leading the struggle against the British rule. These leaders now were contesting the election, and people have high respect for these leaders. So it became very easy for these leaders to win the election. They don't have to make much effort in order to win the election because uh, we can say that there was no need to campaign because everything was done. जो बैकग्राउंड था वो तैयार था और everyone was knowing the result of the election. No one was shocked by knowing the result of the first election that the Congress won three-fourths seats of the Lok Sabha. Everyone was assured that only the Congress is going to win the election and it is going to form the government. So this was the most important reason for the dominance of the Congress party. So this is the first reason, legacy of the freedom struggle. You can write it in point also. Then the second reason is the Congress was already a very well organized party, and by the time the other parties could even think of a strategy, the Congress had already started its campaign. What was the ground reality? The Congress was founded in 1885 and the country got independence in 1947 and the first election was held in 1951. So Congress was there for the last uh, 50 plus 15, for the last we can say 65 years. Congress was there and its organization was very strong. It was a very well organized party. It has its organization in all the provinces. In all the British provinces, it has its committees and organizations. So it was reached everywhere within the territory of India. The Congress was reached in every part of the country. But there were many parties who were just, for example, we have yesterday discussed about the Swaraj Party, which was founded in 1934, and at that time it was founded within the Congress Party, and then in 1948 it became an independent political party. So we can see the difference. We can understand the difference between the position which was held by the Congress and the position which was held by other political parties. The other political parties, they neither they have mm, a strong organization nor they have any history. So uh, they were just thinking of a strategy how to convince people for the for this case, they should give their vote to them only. They were thinking of a strategy, how to start the campaigning, how to organize ourselves, and the Congress has already started its campaign. So क्या था कि दोनों के बीच अदर पार्टीज को अगर हम देखें और कांग्रेस को देखें तो उनकी जो कंडीशन थी उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस था। कांग्रेस बहुत ही ओल्ड पुरानी पार्टी थी, बहुत ही वेल ऑर्गेनाइज्ड पार्टी थी और इस कारण उसे फायदा मिला। ओके, then we see that many parties were formed only around independence or after that. Thus, the Congress had first of the bloc's advantage. Okay, By the time of independence, the party had not only spread across the length and breadth of the country, as we had seen in the maps, but also had an organizational network down to the local level. The organization of Congress was very uh, strong, and it was spread in all over the country, and its organizational level were also there at the local level, in the villages, at the block level, at the district level, everywhere. The Congress had its organizational network, and the Congress was till recently a national movement. Its nature was all inclusive. This is very, very important. What was the nature of Congress? It was all inclusive. The Congress was not belonging to any particular party or to any particular section, or it was not there to promote or protect the interest of any particular section. It was an all inclusive party. Everyone was there in the party. Every section of the society was there in the party. So this is the one of the other important factor. Okay, so what were the reasons of Congress dominance in the first three general elections? The first is legacy of the freedom struggle. The second is the Congress was a very well organized party, and the third one is its nature was all inclusive. Okay, so these are the three important reasons. Now we will see how Congress was a social and ideological coalition. But before that, we will discuss about uh, Rafi Ahmed Kidwai. We will discuss some important facts about Rafi Ahmed Kidwai. He was a Congress leader from UP, and when elections were held according to the provisions of the Government of India Act of 1935, he became a minister in UP. And then again in 1946 also he was uh, minister in UP, and at that time UP was not Uttar Pradesh, it was United Province. Okay, and when the first ministry was formed in Free India, when India became independent, and first ministry was formed by Pandit Nehru. In that ministry, this Rafi Ahmed Kidwai became the minister for communication, and then food and agriculture minister was also given to him. So these are the important facts about Rafi Ahmed Kidwai. Now we will come to this Congress as a social and ideological coalition. Okay, so Congress was founded in 1885, and the most important reason for the formation of Congress was not it was not formed for the protection or for promoting the interest of the people of India. Actually, it was formed as a pressure group. What is the pressure group? What do you know? What do you mean by pressure group? Pressure groups are those organizations whose who are not there to grab the power. Their aim is not to grab the power, and they do not contest election. Their aim is only to put pressure over the government so that its decisions can be it can so that it take decisions according to the demands of the pressure groups. So pressure group is there only to pressurize the government so that it takes decision according to the demand of the group. So the Congress was also started as a pressure group only, and this organization was the organization of only educated people. Only English educated people were the members of Congress, and very limited membership was there in the beginning. And the main purpose of the formation of Congress was it was to be used as a ventilator. Ventilator is in the room. What is the function of ventilator? The ventilator is there in the upper side of the wall, and uh, we know that the hot air is very light in weight, so it moves up, and when it moves up, it goes outside from the ventilator. And then what happens? The fresh air comes from the doors and the windows. So this is the function of ventilator. The hot air, which is polluted air, we can say, जो भी गंदगी है उस गर्म हवा के साथ थ्रू वेंटिलेटर वो निकल जाती है. अगर वेंटिलेटर ना हो, if there is no ventilator, then what will happen that hot air, that polluted air will remain in the room, and it will degrade the atmosphere of the room. So the same kind of function was given to Congress party. It was understood that if uh, the main function of the Congress was to uh, present the demands of the people of educated the main aim of the Congress was to present the demands of the educated Indians before the government. Whatever changes the people of India, the educated people of India wanted in the government must uh, know what is the demand of the people. And the Congress was there only to make the government know the demands of the people so that the government can change itself, so that it can satisfy the people to some extent. और अगर लोग सेटिस्फाई हो जाएंगे तो क्या होगा? देयर विल बी नो dissatisfaction in the mind of the people. There will be no resentment in the mind and heart of the people, and in this way there will be peace, and people will um, be satisfied, and there will be peaceful British rule uh, can be established in India. So Congress was there only to be used as a vent, जहाँ से कि जो भी लोगों के डिससेटिस्फैक्शन है वो निकल सके. अगर डिससेटिस्फैक्शन जमा होता जाएगा देन वो कभी भी बहुत ही वायलेंट तरीके से बाहर आ सकता. तो उसको रोकने के लिए कांग्रेस जो है वो एग्जिस्टेंस में आई थी. ठीक है. तो टुडे वी विल we have discussed so far, and now we will discuss the other parts in the next class.